You're welcome back from that break. Now, let's talk about the economy. And Finance Minister Seth Terkper will this morning, present the mid-year review of economic performance to Parliament. Now, the presentation will be the first major policy statement after Ghana signed up to an IMF bailout program. Mr. Terkper tells Joy News the review will also give an update on some specific government projects. Well, we'll be bringing you back that particular soundbite, and indeed we'll also be taking you live to Parliament for some updates on that as well. But ahead of that, we've been speaking to business editor George Wiafe on what to expect.
Why has the mid-year review become necessary?
Basically, it's something that every economy does. That when you see that things are changing, you plan as a country in terms of your budgets that all other things being equal, I want to spend X amount of money for this whole year. I want to make sure we end the year with an inflation rate of maybe 13.5% with a budget deficit of about 7% of the total value of the economy. Now, when you move on and things change, in order to give you some credibility to investors out there that you know what you're talking about, there's a need to actually review those numbers, because you said that maybe, Francisca, you're looking at spending maybe $1,000 for this year on your personal stuff. If things change as in the development of the workplace, it's right for you to review that budget, and that is what basically the minister is doing. Because of some changes in the economy, whether revenue has gone up, expenditure has gone down, you need to go to Parliament to actually tell them that I'm reviewing X, I'm reviewing the GDP, I'm reviewing expenditure and all those things, and that's give more credibility to your budget as a country when going on. So that is why the minister is doing this, reviewing the estimates that were set out in the 2015 budget when it goes to Parliament later this morning.
You've been interacting with some analysts. What are the expectations?
Well, a lot of people are looking forward to see how the finance minister would again come out with measures to sustain the city's performance. Again, what will be the strategy in trying to contain our debt, which has hit 89 billion Ghana cedis? Are we going to see a serious contraction, as in cutting down on our expenditure, or we're still going to spend more? Don't forget about the IMF program, which is trying to again restrict our spending and spend only in prudent areas. Don't forget, when we signed up to the IMF program, we already had the 2015 budget in place. So this might be the real budget that actually conforms to the IMF program, and that's what many people are looking up to. Again, the much talked about our homegrown policy. How has that worked? A review of last year, the last quarter of this year, or the last half of this year, and then going forward, the previous half that we are going into. What would be the policies that government is going to put in place to stabilize the economy? When you look at the economic numbers, the fiscal data, it looks like things appear to be stabilizing. So what additional measures is government going to put in place to sustain this? There is talk about reviewing taxes because of the city's sharp appreciation. Revenue might suffer. So there might be the need to again review the numbers and even additional taxes we are hearing. There could be a cut in government expenditure, maybe about 2 billion Ghana cedis, and that means that other ministries' budgets might be cut. What are those critical areas that will be touched? We all wait to see when the minister makes his presentation today in Parliament.
But many are expecting supplementary budgets.
Again, because when you see an additional revenue come in, you also need to go back to Parliament. It will be interesting to see where the additional revenue are coming from, because when you went to Parliament, you told them that oil is bringing you this, that is bringing you that. If through other means additional revenue has come in, you need to go to Parliament and get approval, and that will qualify it as a supplementary budget, as in spending more than what has been approved for you by Parliament. So that is where we might see that window where the minister might also ask for some approval with respect to new revenues that are coming in. Basically, yes, IMF is saying that check your spending, but it doesn't mean that if, based on their projection, they gave you a forecast that you shouldn't spend X amount of money. But if additional revenue have come in, then you might even need to revise that expenditure. We are hearing about this 2 billion Ghana says. It could be a cut or a jump. So if it means that looking at our projection, we didn't project things well, then it means that we might end up spending more than what we thought initially. And that one also, you need an approval from Parliament. But it's more of a cut than spending more going into the next 6 months of this year.
Well, we can now hear from Finance Minister Seth Terkper on what to expect in this morning's media review.
A media review is a review of policies, such as the one, we are talking about. We'll give further updates. It's a review, of the fiscal situation, which, because we are going to be using figures that are only a month away from when we did the IMF review, may not, change very much, and that means that the positive macro situation continues. So those are the things, and then we are going to give some updates, of some, specific projects, that we are also, undertaking, including government priority projects. It will be the usual media, review of the macroeconomic situation, of the budget, and of the uses to which we are putting the taxpayers' money.
Well, also speaking about this morning's budget review by the Finance Minister is economist Dr. Tweneboa Senzo. He says government should set realistic and achievable targets.
There are some very component areas which we think that the financial economics analysis doesn't really address. And these are the things we find ourselves affecting at the base level, which I define it more on the community base. Example, like using the issue of the appreciation of the cedi. Now, the next question is whether the cedi is depreciating or appreciating. It has a benefit to both sides of the market. Those that are really important, more like become much more happy when they realized that the cedi is really doing much of appreciation. Those that are doing exporting will also then see the cedi in the point that it is depreciating. So that means both sides it has effect. But the question we then ask, at what time do we take advantage of the system? And these are the challenges we are not seeing. And that is why, as more of a behavioral economist, I continue to preach about it, that we seem to have allowed our labor market. We don't have good policies that guide it. We don't have some structural system that could be able to let our labor market take advantages of some of the crashes that happens within the economic environment. So on this basis, you realize that you are doing the financial analysis and the calculation base, yet your people are not really happy at the base in terms of whatever review that makes. And then they think that whatever you do are more of abstract, not making any relevant sense.
So what exactly, specifically, would you expect government to target that in terms of growth and in terms of inflation?
For the target government is projecting us now, to me, whatever target it's being projected by government, I call it a realistic target, because they are the ones managing the economy. So it is a realistic target. But what are the actions are we to take to get us to that target we have set? Because there are realistic targets that cannot be achieved. And our challenge here is not the target.
It makes them unrealistic. If it's a target that cannot be achieved, it's unrealistic.
I don't call it that it's not realistic. It is the point that we have not put certain actions into place which will make it to be attainable. That is how I call it, because first, every target has been, before you are setting a target, there are certain parameters to consider before setting a target. And when you look at our economy, as of where we come from, making Ghana as an independent up to 58 years, these are not targets we should not beat. We should even exceed such target. But we are not achieving because some calculations are wrong somewhere. Some management structures are wrong somewhere. And that is why I am of that opinion that our knowledge economy is at question. Because whatever we are doing seems to move in a template of try and error. Because if you want to make sure that your market is moving in scientific order, then your market should be able to be predicted within 3 months to 6 months. I should sit here today and be able to predict what's supposed to happen. But today, you and I are not sure because of the volatility of the market. We are not sure and we can't predict. What happens is that any shock we see, any something that happened unexpectedly, then we want to apply ad hoc measures, then you will agree with me. Even if we set a lowest target, it will still look like it's unrealistic.
Are we expecting government to cut down on this expenditure, even with the cedi appreciating and looks like things are a bit stabilizing, especially expenditure on the part of public service that has really come under a lot of scrutiny?
When now I'm normally making my argument in these areas, I continue to ask myself, what are we using that expenditure for? These are the very important questions we need to ask. Because if we are talking about expenditure, whether in public service and those things, expenditure per se, I had been one of the economists that say it's never wrong. It is the issue of what is that expenditure used for, and exactly how do we sustain that form of expenditure. That is the bigger challenge now, because right now whatever is being paid within the public service, which we have normally been worried of the wage conditions, do we have any ghost names again? If we don't have any ghost names again, then who do they need to cut his salary at the end of the month? This cannot be done. It is in the control of the accounting control, the Ministry of Finance. Those structures are there. They are looking at it, making payment. So what happens is, those that are being paid, are they resourceful?
So do we cut down on the payment we are making to them, or well, from what you're saying, we should do a productivity analysis and perhaps sack those who are not productive?
That is the answer now. We need to begin doing a proper audit in the government working sector. Those that are not functional, those that are not relevant, we need to get them. Because the more you widen your employee data with respect that of a political agenda, we are employing more graduates and irrelevant in the system. The only thing is that you are sinking the taxes we are paying to areas that are not productive.
And you're still with us on News Desk. We'll take a short break for business. Hello again, welcome to the business segment. Tullow Oil says it is reviewing the output forecast for its key Jubilee field in Ghana because of a continuing technical problem which could prompt a lowering of its recent upgrade to 2015 production guidance. Shares in Tullow PLC fell 2% after news that oil and gas exports from the field would be reduced for a further 3 weeks to fix a gas compression issue that has affected output since July 3rd. Production at Jubilee, which accounts for the bulk of Tullow Oil's output, is down by 38% at 65,000 barrels per day, and gas exports have been suspended. Tullow says it will review its 2015 Jubilee forecast and provide an update when it presents first half results on 29th July. Now, Ghanaians are excited the cedi is fast appreciating against the US dollar, but not all economic players are in support of a rampant cedi appreciation. Exporters are already counting their losses with the development. One of such is Sekaf Ghana Limited, exporters of Share Cosmetics. The company's CEO, Senyok Beli, says they have lost about 25% of profits following the appreciation of the cedi.
As a new measure to arrest the fall of the cedi, the Bank of Ghana has been pumping some $20 million a day into the economy. That has led to a quick appreciation of the cedi against the major trading currencies. Within the last 2 weeks, the cedi has appreciated 22% against the dollar. The appreciation has led to some reduction in prices of petroleum products and a relief to Ghanaians. CEO of Sekaf Ghana Limited, local exporters of Tama Cosmetics, Senyok Beli, however, says the appreciation, like the depreciation, is not good enough.
For us, it's actually bad news because we are export company. Most of our inputs are locally sourced. So with the cedi appreciating, that actually wipes away our profit. Let's take, for instance, as of 30th June 2015, the share nut price in Tamale market is 1,600 Ghana cedi per ton. That was the time I purchased it, and my price was $360 at the time. Now, $360 could give me 1,600. Now, after purchasing and then exporting, and I receive my dollars right now, with the current rate, $360 is not giving me 1,600. It's giving me $1,200. So that is the loss, almost 25% loss.
Senyok Peli called for a rather stable currency against a stronger one.
What we are looking for is a stable currency. If the currency is dancing too much, it's not very good. Stable means a fixed rate. So if the cedi is 3 Ghana cedi to $1, it should remain 3 Ghana cedi $1 for at least 6 months to a year. Then businesses can actually plan.
Abigail Adamakoinchi for Joy News.
A strong brand, they say, is critical for the success of any business. Indigenous companies, however, tend to grapple with how to develop this. But the managing director of Airtel Ghana, Lucy Quist, says the way forward is for the businesses to play high premium on people. This, according to her, is important since the impact on a business has on its people, especially its staff, eventually goes a long way to grow its brand.
A brand only exists insofar as people represent that brand. And those people, the first group of people are the staff who work for the customers, then who work for the company, and then of course for the customers, and the customers are also representatives of the brand and all the stakeholders who come into contact with the brand as well. We make people the focus of our brand by first of all living what we believe internally. We believe in the power of potential. We believe that we exist to empower Africans, to create opportunities for Africans. We're alive and we're inclusive and we're respectful. So we start by living those values and the essence of who we are internally and extend the same to our customers.
That's it for business. Up next is sports.